Hello everyone, nubkeks here. Welcome back to Nub Raids. Today, I've actually spent the last couple of days, it's been a fairly chill part of the fusion for me, because I am still doing the fusion. I like Hex Champions, but it's been fairly chill. So I've been spending some time, and a lot of my silver, in fact all of my silver, on re-gearing a bunch of champions for the arena. And I'm really testing out a whole bunch of new stuff, a whole bunch of different teams. Some of it's working, some of it isn't working. But one thing I've been trying out so far that I've been very, very pleasantly surprised by has been Mighty Ukko in the arena. As you guys know, I was disappointed by Mighty Ukko and Hydra, simply because, well, broadly speaking, I think that Ukko, the epic, is better. So it's always disappointing when an existing epic champion kind of outperforms your new legendary. That always kind of sucks. Good news on that front. So Ivy League Gaming, I'm sure you know her, another raid content creator, does a good bit of Hydra stuff as well. She was doing some testing on the test server, and she was finding similar problems to what I was finding in terms of placing this block buffs and decrease accuracy on targets of no buffs after the attack. But she actually was recording it and going through it, and when I did my video on it, I was sort of assuming that maybe it was to do with weak hits, but she found even more evidence, and it does turn out that there seems to be a bug with Mighty Ukko in Hydra specifically, where this doesn't place when it really should. It's not going to place all the time, like the buff on the heads when they respawn, or like Wrath buff and Poison Cloud. That stuff is still going to block this, but there are times when this should happen and it doesn't. So the raid team is looking into that, guys, so stay tuned. Maybe in the next couple of patches or so, hopefully we'll see a fix for Mighty Ukko to make them a bit more consistent for Hydra. So that is great news, number one. Nonetheless, though, this should still be a really good move for Arena, right? We're going to strip a lot of buffs off the target. Good chance then to place block buffs, decrease accuracy. This stuff should be pretty great for locking down an arena team and for really interfering with what they're trying to do. We have a decreased attack A1, which is not too terrible. And then we do have this AoE revive and increased speed. So that's quite a nifty toolkit that Ukko is bringing. And then, of course, we have this passive, which is a chance to steal a random buff from a random enemy each time a buff is placed on the enemy team. We'll steal one buff for each type of buff placed simultaneously. So this is quite interesting. They've really reworded this to make it much more clear, which is good. For example, one random buff may be stolen if 3 Veil buffs are placed at the same time. So this makes it much more clear what this is doing. Ukko can't steal the same buff twice. So if Ukko, for example, let's say steals increase attack off one enemy, Ukko will no longer be able to steal increase attack because he's already stolen it until it expires on him. So there are a bunch of limitations, but it's quite a nifty passive. And this sort of comes together into how we're trying to build this team. So let me show you how I've built Ukko first and what I've tried to do here. I have said I've been disappointed with Ukko and Hydra. However, I do use Ukko in my third team. I've got 2 Uggos that go in the first and second team, my best teams. And then Ukko does perform a good role in that team number 3. So I really want them to still be performing well there, but also being an MVP in Arena. So this is the build we've come up with. You can see everything is still like a level 15. Ran out of silver, and I'm waiting for the next artifact enhancement for the fusion. But this should give you a pretty good idea and be much more achievable stat-wise for your typical player than what it might be, because, you know, my Great Hall is fairly well developed, almost finished, in fact. In fact, for Ukko, it's basically finished. So yeah, that's something to bear in mind. So you can see the overall stats here. We've got 47k HP, 3.2k defense. I would actually like to lower that defense down to like maybe 2,800 and crank the HP up to more like 55,000 or 60,000. I think that would be a better balance, especially because we're going to be running with increased defense on this team. But hey, it is what it is. That's something to tweak in future with different gear. We do have nice high speed here on Mighty Ukko 244. This is to be good for Hydra and also still be useful here in Arena. Obviously not very high speed for Arena. We're running in a Go second team. And then we do have good accuracy, 403. That is going to improve, obviously, when we roll up. We've got an accuracy chest piece here. And this is actually really, really good piece. And we do have an accuracy banner, which is, you know, with 2 rolls and attack percentage, not so useful for Mighty Ukko, but it's the best thing that I've got. We're running in this full 6-piece of Stone Skin. We want to get Stone Skin for 2 turns to start the round. This will help us go second, go in, and then strip the buffs off the enemy. That's the idea. And then after, you know, if people start to die, they do get their Stone Skin stripped, then Ukko can even come in and revive as well, which is good. Hopefully give us a chance to steal their buffs. It's pretty interesting. It's a pretty interesting build. I will say, by the way, I do have 1 reaction piece on Mighty Ukko, which is not very good. We really wanted this to roll accuracy. It's only level 8 right now. I do recommend, even for people in Stone Skin, I do really, really, really like to have 2 pieces of reaction on them anyway, because it means that if your stone skin gets stripped, you still have a good chance to survive and then get back into the fight. Whereas without reaction, you're solely relying on this 50-50 of stone skin if they have a buff stripper, and that can kind of get you. For masteries, I really haven't changed anything. We're just in pure Hydra mastery, so this is not designed for arena. It's increasing our debuff duration for that decrease attack, the block buffs and all that, and then War Master. So you could, if you were only using Mighty Ukko for arena, you could definitely move into like support with the accuracy mastery, and then grab some stuff in the defense tree to try to stay alive as well. So you can sort of mix and match as you go. Let's dive in here. So this team, let me show you this team. Number one, I can first of all show you some of the experimentation I've been doing in terms of arena defense. If we look at the last like few fights here, it's my 3rd team, so it's winning about half of them. You know, it's actually all 3 of the teams are 50-50 right now. For arena defense, it's not too bad. It's not too bad. We're in gold 2 at the moment, but gold 2 this week is quite a bit harder after all the weird tag arena stuff at last reset. Let's dive in though. Let's see this team in action. I've been building a few different versions, and this is the team. So we have Candrafon is the most replaceable here, guys, right? And I actually think if you are a sort of mid-game player, let's click start and go in on full auto. Let's see how it goes. I do think for someone who's been playing for a few months, this is actually a really good budget team that can get you in there, right? Because Mighty Ukko is the fusion. Obviously, if you're watching the video, you presumably have them. If you don't, it's going to be awkward, of course. Mithrala, guaranteed champion for Hydra that you will get. And then, of course, Ultimate Death Knight, who I'm pretty sure you needed to get Ultimate Death Knight if you got Mighty Ukko. But you can see how this team works. Look at this. We are going in with a stone skin. We are surviving. This team actually didn't have any buff strips. We have Mithrala cleanse off those bombs, which would have put us in a pretty bad spot. And you can see we're tanking through, and we've got a decent chunk of damage there as well. Now, the most replaceable character in this team, by the way, is Candrafon. Don't worry about that. Candrafon is definitely replaceable. Let's dive into another fight. Let's see it. Okay, so these guys don't have a buff strip either, so we can just see how this is going to work against a team that doesn't have the ability really to strip your buffs. So if we actually do this one on manual so you can see it, and then I'll talk about replacements for Candrafon. But look at that Mighty Ukko starting to steal their buffs. We still increase attack off, so actually I think off of, maybe off of Mashald, or did he outrun it? I think we still off Ugo actually. We still increase crit damage off of, it looks like we stole that off of Ninja. We still increase speed off of, again, it looks like Ugo. So kind of nifty, right? Not too bad. Not too bad at all. If we really want to wreck this team, we could start off with Sigil of Toxic Glory. But for the purposes of this, let's start with a cleanse, which is what is going to happen on full auto. Mighty Ukko then is going to come in and attempt to strip the buffs off. So look at that, strips the buffs off, decrease accuracy, block buffs everywhere, which is just great. We're going to go in then with the AoE Fear with Ultimate Death Knight to start locking them down, putting out that decreased attack as well. And then we can send Candrafon in to smack, and Candrafon will kill them. So let's talk about replacements. Let's also see how this could be kind of nasty. Increase accuracy here and double strip. So this would be one of the nastier teams. Increase accuracy is going to let them potentially strip Mithrala. Let's see what happens here. Will it work? Will it not? Candrafon is definitely replaceable, guys. I would recommend any sort of tanky nuker. Basically, any nuker really in Stone Skin could work. So we can see here we did get stripped, so we're going to be relying, there we go, on reaction accessories to keep us in the game. And obviously, Candrafon's passive is helping there. But one thing to note with this team setup that I have right here, actually, let's just leave it on full auto, is we don't have an increased attack buff or increased defense buff, at least until Mithrala gets to her second turn. So that's one weakness for this first nuke right here. I think Brimstone actually just killed someone. That was actually quite hilarious. For this first nuke, we don't have increased attack, so we're not going to hit crazy hard with an attack-based nuker. So a HP-based nuker could be a good idea. A nuker with 2 different AoEs, so you can soften them up with the first one, kill them with the second one. But you can see how much sort of control that we have right here. I think another, by the way, kind of cheeky little thing you could do is you could absolutely run like Lydia in spot number 1 and then build your Ultimate Death Knight or build your Mithrala with higher crit rate and yeah, really squeeze out some extra damage, right, from those characters with Lydia landing those debuffs. Bomb Champions, another good option because you've got so much flexibility. There we go, we get through. It's a bit of a longer fight. We left it on full auto, and you can sort of see how it works. And we can see, actually, in terms of the damage, for example, here, Ultimate Death Knight actually was number 1 right there, right? So this is what I'm saying with the nuker being fairly replaceable. Let me see. Let's go up against a Rotos team. That's another good showcase. And we'll see how Ukko will do trying to strip their buffs. Obviously, Brogni's shield can't be removed. It is protected. So that means that we shouldn't land the block buffs and decrease accuracy on these champions. But we should still strip off the block debuffs and stuff like that, depending on what his Mithrala starts out with. Yeah, so she's going to start off with that. So we should strip off a lot of those buffs, which is going to be nice. And Ultimate Death Knight obviously protecting us a lot from single target damage dealers like Rotos, which is pretty great. Yeah, I think, like in terms of other damage dealers, I do think you could put in something like Gaius the Gleeful, who is another fusion this year, bomb champion. He'd be really good here because we got the accuracy aura from Mithrala, upping all of our accuracy. We're going to be stripping their buffs with Mighty Ukko, so there's a good chance they're not going to have block debuffs on them or anything like that. So, there's a bunch of cheeky things that we can do with it, and the team is kind of healed up. We're getting healing from Ultimate Death Knight. We're getting lots of shielding from Ultimate Death Knight. And from Mithrala, Mithrala's increased defense, increasing the shielding of Ultimate Death Knight as well, which is pretty cool. We've got petrifications going out. We've got increased speed from Ukko. We've got decreased attack from Ukko and from Ultimate Death Knight. And then we just need someone to actually start killing the enemy team. So it's your choice. Again, you can see Ultimate DK coming in and just being an absolute MVP here. He is also, by the way, Ultimate Death Knight is also in a Hydra style build, right? He's in a Hydra style build. So perhaps not super ideal. Now, if we wanted this to go smoother, we would target the Arbiter. We're going to kill other targets because Arbiter's not their squishiest one. So that's going to get a little bit awkward. That is where those fears coming in. And Mighty Ukko actually got petrified on the buff strip right there. That's where the fears and the petrify from Mithrala comes in to sort of lock down their team and keep them locked up. But it's really cool, right? I hope that you enjoy this team. I think it's a really good one. And for an arena defense, it's really nasty because all these champions are great in Stone Skin. They're really, really good in Stone Skin. It keeps them protected. That's why I also say like a defensive nuker, something like a Staltus Dragonbane, the newest defensive nuker in the game, even Ragash, something like that. They could all be absolutely great in this team because Stone Skin gives you a bunch of defensive stats. Bombers don't mind not being in Savage, but I mean, Kandrafon's not in Savage. You can see he can still do plenty of damage. So yeah, there's a lot of stuff going for this team. Like, let's go up here, let's go up against this team. Going up against a Hegemon, scary stuff. We've got Stone Skin, though, to protect us. Now, there's a chance, of course, that we're going to get nuked because Kymar can potentially strip us. But look at this. The Hegemon nuke comes in, and we're just like, yo, we don't even care. We don't even care about your Hegemon nuke. That's a very slow Kymar, actually. Very slow Kymar. Is going to open with Seal of Magic. How strange. But you can see with their Stone Skin here, because they didn't strip it, there's just no way for this all-damage team to get through. And look at this point. This, again, really could be any nuker at that point to finish them off. It just doesn't matter. So, yeah, I think a really effective, really budget team. Let me show you the builds of the other champions so you get an idea. But I've been very, very happy with this team. The version of this I was using before, I was using Brogni instead of Mighty Ukko, so that's something you could sub in. So you lose the revive. I had him in bolster set with 2 reaction, so he does give the team a nice shield. He's obviously going to be reflecting damage back with a shield, and he does give you block debuffs, increase attack round 1. So the block debuffs protects like Ultimate Death Knight. It's going to protect Kandrafon from debuffs. The increase attack is going to work really well with an attack-based nuker. Obviously, I don't have her, but the best one to put in would probably be Duchess. Would be really good, especially with Kandrafon giving increase attack and Veil. So that would be perfect. But Brogni was a good one to put in as well. Let me just show you his build real fast. I have him in bolster. I could probably get better gear on him now at this point, but there's his gear, as you can see. Mighty Ukko, we've already seen, but that is Mighty Ukko. If we look at Mithrala, such a good combo at Mighty Ukko. They work so well together. She is the fastest, so she cleanses the team. She's got so much accuracy and stuff that unless they have increased accuracy, they're not going to be able to strip her Stone Skin or to debuff her, to crowd control her. Even with increased accuracy, Stone Skin makes it a 50-50, so there's such a good chance she gets to cleanse the team, and she does so much to keep your team alive, and her masteries are like so. So this is very much an arena-style mastery build. Then we had Kandrafon. He's coming in with sort of nuker masteries, and he is in 1 set of Stone Skin, and he has 1 set of crit damage as well to up his damage a little bit. And he is like this. So again, this is really good gear with 6,500 attack and 280% crit damage. So he smacks really hard. But you saw he's not really key to a lot of these fights. Certainly these easier fights, on really difficult fights, he definitely comes through with that A1 especially, and especially when you use this offensively, you can target their revive with the A1 and he can start to kill those Sifis. you know, through even through their defensive buffs, because his A1 is like the hardest hitting A1 in the game. And then we had the final champion. My brain has completely failed. Who is our final champion? Oh my god, I've completely gone blank. Literally, my mind has gone blank. How did I manage this? So we got Canderfon, we've got her, we got him. Who is the final one? I literally can't remember. Did I cover them all? Ultimate Death Knight. How could I'm sorry, Ultimate Death Knight. How could I forget you? I forgot you because you're up here with your Brimstone Mastery, which is cool. Again, I think he's just so perfect in 6-piece of Stone Skin because he's so survivable at the start of that arena fight, and redirecting those hits towards him, single target. He makes your team so much tankier, and he does so much healing. People really underestimate how much healing he does. He's a great healer, which is really surprising. But yeah, again, with Ultimate Death Knight, I've done a video on him before. This is supposed to be good for Hydra and for Arena. So you can see one of the key things, which I think people don't do with him usually, is giving him high speed. I actually find this works really well. Sometimes Stone Skin will be destroyed before he even gets to go twice anyway. So I actually think that having high speed is okay, and it makes him so much better for Hydra. So I'm aiming with my Ultimate Death Knight for something like 180 to 200 speed. I still want him to be pretty slow, but I want him fast enough so that he's good for Hydra, because he does a lot of healing. With the defense, he does a lot of healing. I have him with high resistance so he can mischief tank for Hydra. And then yes, his accuracy is a bit low, but with that Mithrala aura, he's going in with about 300 accuracy, so he's not going to be super consistent with the provoke or with the decrease attack or the fear. He doesn't have the highest accuracy in the world, but he's going to land it against those damage dealers. Champions like Rotos, Trundat, whatever, they're not going to have 300, 400 resistance. He's still going to be debuffing them. And again, he is in War Master to be good in Hydra. You could build him in just support and defense tree if you wanted, just for Arena. But he hits pretty hard, actually. He hits hard. And yeah, there you go. So, guys, that was my team that I've been trying out, Mighty Ukko. Like I said, the damage dealer is replaceable, and then you've got basically 3 champions that everyone that's been playing, if you've been playing the game for, let's say, 6 months, everyone that's been playing the game for 6 months could potentially have all of these 3 champions. You might be working on Mithrala, but it's something to look forward to, and a team that you can throw together, and it might give you some ideas useful for Hydra, still built for Hydra, but also being very powerful in Arena as well, thanks to Stone Skin. There you go. Hopefully you enjoyed. I'll come back to you. Like I said, I'm working on several teams, so there's going to be more videos kind of like this. Excuse me, like really mixing up some of my builds and trying some wacky stuff. It's going to be a few weeks of progress, I think, trying out some different things. And yeah, really exploiting sort of Stone Skin type stuff to the maximum and coming up with creative teams. Thank you for watching, everyone. I'll see you all next time. Bye-bye.